All right, what's up, guys? Welcome. Today we're going to be addressing some of the recent drama. Fun. If you're not aware about what happened, essentially, and I'm going to go into it, of course, but I was doing a stream and Isaac had particular requests of me. I didn't give in, and then he banned me, called me a piece of shit, told me to never speak with him again, and also banned Ruxter. So, yeah, I have some notes for this, but the video is not going to be insanely structured. It's going to, I might go off on little rants here and there, but I have a specific order in which I want to do things. If you haven't seen the original clip, I strongly recommend you go ahead and watch it before watching this. If you haven't seen it, here's a little snippet of Isaac, I'll be honest, I'm not...
Look, Danny, let me just be clear with you. Are you going to ban the sophists or not?
At the moment, no, I don't.
Okay, then fuck off. I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever speak to me again. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Okay, so now that you've seen that, I want to share just what my goals are here in this video, and then we'll get going. So I have multiple goals. The first one's going to be to share with you guys what exactly happened from my first-person perspective, because on the surface and from the outside, there were certain things that I was experiencing and viewing that were not so apparent from the outside. And hopefully, with this first person account, if Isaac is watching, Isaac, please, I hope you're watching. If you're willing to listen, I want to try to make a strong case for why your behavior and the banning was just pretty uncalled for and unjustified, in my view. I also want to make the case that the issue here wasn't solely in regards to a value difference between Isaac and I. I believe there's even some reason to believe that he's made errors in the form of just doing things that are a little unreasonable. And what else do I have here? Oh, of course, I'll cover, where we're at in regards to the issue, myself contacting him, all that, what's happened since then. And I also would like Avi to see this video. I'll explain later why that's important to me. And lastly, I do want to cover just my overall thoughts on Isaac as a person and, him being somebody I've defended so many times over the last couple of years, especially in the face of harsh criticism in my DMs, people saying things like, why do you even associate with this dude? He did X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And why I think, the average person socially wouldn't or doesn't really agree with Isaac's behavior, his values here. And this is probably the most important thing. I really want Isaac to hear this. Why you should probably change your values given the amount of messages I've received from people that I know you consider friends and people that are close to you, especially people in the AY Discord, completely disagreeing with your behavior to the point where, if you're going to be consistent with your treatment of me, you're going to have to unfriend a shit ton of people that did not agree whatsoever with your actions. And I don't want you to be friendless. And hopefully the fact that you have all these very intelligent people or people that I know you deem intelligent disagreeing with you on this, maybe that'll cause you to reflect on your actions. And I'm not going to be giving names of the people who have DM'd me. Of course, they wish to remain anonymous, because if they weren't anonymous, they'd be banned from the server and be dealt the same cards I was dealt. So out of respect for those people, I'm not going to give their names. And lastly, to be clear, given the weird treatment that Ruxter was given during the actual video, I'm going to be ranting at some points here, and I want it to be known that everything I say is my opinion, not Ruxter's. So Isaac, don't be upset with Ruxter for my opinions. I'll hand over the mic to Ruxter here and there and get his thoughts, and he can express his own. That's a basic rundown of everything and why we're here, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, yeah, let's talk about the actual issue, right? So we all saw what happened. Me and Ruxter were doing a live stream where we were reviewing the debate between Vegan Gains and Demon Mama. Now, that was the purpose of the stream. It was pretty fucking obvious. I texted Ruxter like, hey, let's review this. That was the purpose of the stream. Just want to make that clear. And at certain points, I guess Isaac was, he noticed that Louis Ghetto, who you guys probably know, the dude that is always like logic and facts, or facts and logic destroy harness nonsense every time. He's been in comment sections for multiple years. He's a mod for my chat. And Isaac had noticed this, and Isaac was spamming the chat, asking me why he's a mod. Apparently, he had been doing this for a while. I wasn't paying attention to the chat because I was kind of tunnel visioned into the debate we were reviewing. And he kept asking and asking and asking. And eventually I saw that he was spamming because he was literally spamming like over and over and over, like, you know, copy, paste, enter, over and over. The same thing, like, why is Lewis a mod? And, you know, I didn't have immediate access to the evidence supporting the claim that Lewis is a mod. So I said, you know, how about you come in and explain your case or whatever? And Isaac didn't really explain much of why he's a sophist or give me evidence for it, which is obviously hard to do on the spot. I mean, like, they had a whole history apparently with Avi and the is organic carnage thing and whatever. So yeah, he was asking me to ban this dude, and I wasn't totally clear on whether or not he was a sophist. And then after bringing Isaac onto the call to, you know, explain this or whatever, and say, he said, like, are you aware you have a sophist in your or modding your chat, blah blah blah. Someone named AJ, who's actually a girl, by the way. A lot of people thought they were a dude, but they're a girl. They sent a donation saying that Isaac had banned them for saying stop bullying other mods and stop spamming the chat or something like that. And the observation that this is what I saw. Okay, the observation that Isaac was bullying, to me, it was a reasonable observation from AJ's perspective, because if you actually scroll up in the chat, and you can see this in the video, Isaac was literally calling Lewis a retard over and over and over, you know, among other insults. And I believe, judging from what I saw, AJ didn't even know who Isaac was. And for him to observe, for them to observe that Isaac is just calling this dude a retard and spamming the chat, and then to say, hey, stop spamming the chat, or like stop bullying other mods, that's a pretty reasonable thing. And so Isaac asked me then to ban that person. And I had no access to that person's messages because Isaac had already muted them. So I said to Isaac, like, I'll check this out later. Like and I was also talking about the Lewis thing. I was like, I'll look into the sophistry later. You know, the purpose of the stream is to review this debate with Vegan Gains and Demon Mama. And he couldn't stand for that. And simply put, I mean, and I learned, I mean, I've already known of the principle of like asking for evidence, but, you know, that principle was emphasized by Isaac, like learning from him and how he debates. So it was a bit of a shock to me that he wouldn't accept that I could just look into the evidence later, you know, in regards to both the AJ person and Lewis. And again, I could not see AJ's messages. It literally said like messages muted. So I couldn't see anything. I had no evidence of AJ being a shit talker to Isaac. And I feel like Isaac would say like I had evidence of Lewis being a sophist because he was avoiding debate, which in a sense was true because they were scheduling a debate in the video, and then Lewis kind of went back on his word. But here's the thing, like, I've known Isaac for a while, and I think it's fair to say that Isaac will always view somebody refusing to debate him as a sign of sophistry. And I'm not sure that he's aware or socially aware of the fact that somebody might not want to debate you simply because you're being a dickhead or aggressive or you're being mean to them. It's not logically impossible for somebody to be able to confidently defend their position, but maybe not want to talk to you because you're just being mean, or you're being however you want to frame it, calling him a retard and all these things. So Isaac, if you're still here, which I hope you are, just understand that like that could not be sophistry to dodge a debate. It could just be that somebody doesn't like you or doesn't want to talk to you. And I've seen this happen before. And don't get me wrong, I've seen plenty of people dodge debates from Isaac where I believe like, yeah, that's straight up sophistry. Like you're full of shit. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not making one claim one way or the other whether Lewis is a sophist. I'm just letting you know that if you end up saying like, oh, there was the evidence there that he was dodging debate, that to me isn't clear either. I mean, you were calling him a retard and all these insults and spamming the chat. So yeah, so whatever. He wouldn't accept that I wanted to see more evidence. And he said, listen, I'll give it to you straight, Danny. Like, if you don't ban these people, you know, like, you can just never talk to me again. We have a difference in values. He was also saying things like, and this is where I might want you to pop in, Ruxter. He was also saying things like, oh, surely I would do this for you had the tables been turned. And I've seen him do this before to other people in the past. And I'm not saying that he's he's full on making the naturalistic fallacy when he does this, which is to say that you derive an ought from an is. In other words, saying it is the case that I would do this for you, therefore you also ought to do this. But if he's saying that I ought to do something because it is the case that he would do this, that to me, I mean, is that not the naturalistic fallacy in simple terms?
Yeah, if you're deriving an ought from an is, then yeah, that's precisely what that is. I mean, just because we can accept the fact that he would do it for you doesn't mean that you ought to do it for him, right? Right. Because there could be things that one person would do for the other person, but those things that he does are just like atrocious, right? And maybe he has like this weird obsession for his partner, but it doesn't mean that the other person should do that. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, and we can find examples like of like people in relationships where, you know, whether it be like the husband, the wife, or the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, is willing to do some of the worst things imaginable for their partner, right? That we would probably deem as like immoral or like crazy or something. And just on that fact alone, we would probably accept the fact that like, just because they're willing to do it doesn't mean the other person should do it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I would agree. If that is what's going on, I just want to like put a condition on this. If that is what's going on, then like I can see how it would seem to be the case that like a naturalistic fallacy is prevalent here.
Right. And I just want to say, like, it is a weird thing to say as well to somebody that, oh, I would do this for you if the tables were turned, therefore you ought to do it for me. Like, the thing is, I would never ask for Isaac to ban somebody for talking shit to me in his chat. It's a weird thing to say. Like, it's almost like assuming that I also have the same. I would even ask the question to begin with, that can you ban this dude because he's talking shit? Like, I would never do that. I don't have those values, and it reminds me of those people who go ahead and do something for a friend that friend would never even ask the person who does a thing for the friend to do, and they go, you know, I just did this for you. Like, if the tables were turned, I do it for you. It's like, well, dude, I would never even ask you to do that in the first place. So it's not really a meaningful thing to say. It's like, you know, and also I have many friends who, like, very close friends who, you know, we don't agree on everything. We have differences in values. There's things I would do for them that they wouldn't do for me, and vice versa. And I don't take those things to mean like, oh, I guess I have to cut you off and ban you from my server and never talk to you again. So it's a little odd, like where Isaac's coming from socially and his standard of friendship. I find it in some sense fascinating, because it's like, I talked to like probably 30 or 40 people about this incident since it happened, and everybody was just very confused at Isaac's standard of friendship. And here's another thing that I think is interesting. From the outside, Isaac, I want you to like just understand that your behavior, what was happening. Like, you were the one spamming the chat, okay? And you were calling people retards and insulting them and interrupting the purpose of the stream. Yet you want me to ban 2 other people, when in reality, like, to the average person watching, you look like the person who should be banned. You're literally spamming the chat, calling people retards, and interrupting the purpose of the stream. But those 2 people should be banned, not you. Like, that to me is it's unbelievable. It's like, how do you not perceive that? And this is where I like to be very open to the differences in which people's minds work in the world and their subjective experience. And fair enough, if Isaac just doesn't even perceive that fact, or like that thing that I'm currently trying to elicit right now, what am I can't, it's not his fault, you know, whatever, you know, people don't choose their thoughts and what they perceive and think of. But to me, it's fascinating. It's insane. Like how you couldn't even, I mean, I believe you didn't have that thought that you should be banned. Okay. And this is where I'm trying to make the point that, like, just socially, you might just operate differently. You have different standards of friendship. You don't think what you did warrants you getting banned, but instead the other 2 people. And this is a cool and interesting analogy that someone from your server, actually, I believe you're not, I don't know if you're friends with him, but he's in your server. But he made a pretty interesting analogy. It's like, you know, imagine I threw a party and I had a security guard, and we can parallel the security guard with Lewis, right? And let's say Isaac comes to the party and he starts like spamming and yelling over and over and over Why do you have Lewis as a security guard? Why do you have him as a security guard? And you're swearing like he's a sophist, all these things. He has bad traits. And I say, Isaac, I'll look into it later. I don't know. I don't have time to like investigate whether or not this security guard is a sophist. And you keep yelling and you're calling this security guard a retard and you're insulting him. And then somebody else named AJ, some girl, ends up saying, stop yelling and stop bullying the security guard and calling him a retard. And then you ask me to kick them out as well. It's just not reasonable. Like, to the average person and their social standards and who they are as people. If you think that's reasonable, Isaac, I mean, holy shit, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm like dumbfounded that you can find that reasonable. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good analogy that illustrated the absurdity of your requests. And listen, I know I'm being blunt right now, and honestly, there's tons of people that want me to be even more blunt with you, but I'm trying to take like a middle ground between being straightforward with you and blunt and also understanding. There's a ton of people that were just like, dude, I want you to just fucking shit on his life and rip him to shreds. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say what I think and whatever. So that was the situation, and why I just don't understand why I was treated the way I was, especially Ruxter. I don't know what the fuck he did.
Yeah,
but
I even
yeah. But before I go on to the next section, I mean, Ruxter, what are your thoughts on everything that I just said?
I mean, I when you added the I was surprised. I wasn't expecting the whole like, how did you not see that like you're the one who kind of looks like they should be banned, like, and I didn't think about that, and I can kind of see like in a certain perspective that like when you phrase the situation the way you did, I'm like, that does sound like someone who should be banned versus Louis Ghetto or AJ or something. But I wanted to mention, I remember us talking, and I think I speak for us both when I say that we don't believe that having this specific fundamental values that he's talking about, whereas like, oh, I would ban someone for you, if you said they were sophists, I would want that in return. We don't think something like that is necessary for friendship, right? We don't think that those are like those are like really important fundamental values that you should have. Probably like we would agree with the notions that like your friends shouldn't be trying to like maybe backstab you. I think that's really important in a friendship.
Yeah.
I think that probably takes priority, way priority over this sort of thing. Maybe don't have friends that are willing to like murder you or something, right?
Right.
Like I take things like that to be like fundamental. Like I would even go as far as to say like necessities, right?
Right. Like you're saying there's certain things that
don't ask me for the content.
Right. You're saying that there's certain things that you do require of friends that you would also do for them. Yeah, totally. And not as like maybe not murdering me is like an extreme, but a very straightforward example. I would never murder you. You never murder me, whatever. But something like banning somebody who's talking shit about you in my chat. Like I just want to rant a little here about that thing.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
First of all, I couldn't have even verified that. That's already clear. And even if I was able to verify that someone was talking shit, I don't like, Isaac, you should know me, bro. Like, I'm a sarcastic asshole. I meme on dumbassery in on the internet. I don't, it's not a big deal to me. Like, someone just shit talking one of my friends in a chat, like, no. And again, of course, what I found out after was that they weren't shit talking you. They were telling you to stop bullying somebody and stop spamming, which you were doing. So, but let's just assume it was shit talking. Let's assume someone was just like, Isaac, you little bitch, like, you're an idiot, fuck you, whatever. I don't feel anything like in regards to banning. To me, it's more worth it to have like just a bunch of different kinds of minds colliding in my chat. It creates more talking, more debates, more discussions. It makes it more lively. It's entertaining. I don't know. It's just not a big deal. So that's the part that, is definitely a value difference between us. And now I will say, and I will retract this, because I did say this, I think in the original stream, and I do retract it. I said, I think that, I wouldn't really care if a sophist was a moderator. I do take that back. If somebody who is modding my chat is proven to be a sophist, in other words, somebody who reasons cleverly but fallaciously. Of course, I get why Isaac would think that it's wrong to have this person as a mod. Somebody who is dishonest, somebody who argues fallaciously. Why would I want them to be the determinant of who gets muted and banned in my chat? So I just want to tell Isaac straightforwardly, like, I agree with you on that. But the talking shit thing, I don't. And if it wasn't clear, the reasoning thing I have a problem with that Isaac did here, that's outside of our values being different, is just the fact that you expected me to believe everything that you were saying without evidence. I think it was fairly reasonable for me to be like, I want to see the evidence of the shit talking. I want to see the evidence of the sophistry. I'll look into it later. I'll explore the evidence. Like to me, I thought you'd be like, fair enough. Like you want to see the evidence, very fucking clear. But instead, you expected me to take your word for it, which, like, dude, I talked to some close friends of mine in person about this, and how, like, I wouldn't take their word for those things, like, on the spot. Like, I would ask for some evidence, like, it's just how.
I mean, I don't mean to interject, but I feel like
I'm done.
That's like your and I's relationship, right? Like, if I was telling you some things, whether they deal with like empirics or not, like, you would want the evidence for it. You would want like the argument or whatever it is, right? You wouldn't just my word for it, even though like you kind of see me as like an equal or something like that, right? Like, you're like, Ruxter knows this shit, but like at the end of the day, we can't just ascribe to that sort of methodology, because that's not how facts and truth is derived from. Just like, hearsay. Even though there are particular people we will respect to the degree, right? It doesn't mean that we should just take what they say at face value.
Of course.
So when he said to you that, like, hey, you know me, if I say someone's a sophist, right, they probably are, right? And now in this case, when you say that they probably are, that's a probabilistic claim, right? Now this could be one of those instances where you might have been wrong about it, right? So that's why Daniel wanted to check it for himself. I mean, that's what I believe.
Because I've seen Isaac call people sophists who I was a bit agnostic on whether or not they were, but I was just considering the fact that maybe Isaac was just like, I'd see him be a complete dickhead to somebody and then him claim that they're a sophist. And in my head, I'm like, maybe they just don't want to talk to you. Maybe they would gladly debate somebody else who is as good of a debater as you, but is more polite, maybe Avi or something. I don't know. So that's another reason why I don't always, I'm not always going to take somebody to be a sophist just because Isaac, of all people, says they're a sophist. Yeah.
And I think, so also to kind of go back to what you said prior about, we're talking about like the fundamental things are necessary in a friendship, things like that. Like, and I speak on Danny's behalf, but like, Danny is willing to do something that he deems greater for you than just merely banning someone. Like, for instance, like if you're down on your luck and you needed like some cash, or like, I'm just giving an example, right? Like, and like you needed some assistance, like, I think Danny is like willing to do that for you because he views it as more important than just merely banning someone. He thinks banning someone on I guess like your behalf is just something that's just trivial, right? Even if they talk shit, because no, Danny, he's got like huge mental fortitude. Like, shit just doesn't bother him. So it doesn't bother him in the same degree that it might you, Isaac. So, and maybe that's something to factor in. So he didn't really see it as like this like huge important thing that he had to do in that instance, because like all he does is make like like sarcastic videos, and he's just him just trolling and being an asshole to like Harness and stuff. You know how many people shit talk this dude on the reg, and like, he just kind of just dismisses it. He's like, these guys are fucking idiots anyways. Why should I care about what they have to say? So that's sort of the mindset that Danny's in. And maybe if like Danny sort of like explains his position in this sense, that it might, in the same way that like we're trying to like explore your position, so that you can kind of like understand why Danny didn't like see the need to ban this guy, right? Because he doesn't, it's not like something that's that important for him. Like, Danny is willing to do things that are like that have I guess like a higher intensity, if that makes sense. Like, things that are more intense than just merely banning someone. Danny's willing to do because he saw you as a friend, and that's how Danny is as a person. He's just willing to, help his friends out, like where it really matters, And in this instance, I also agree with Danny. This didn't really. I don't think it really mattered that we banned these particular individuals or not. On top of that, you also have to let Danny sort of investigate and to see if these people are actual sophists or talking shit or something like that, because he's just uncomfortable. I assume he's uncomfortable with the fact that someone's coming in and just kind of telling him to sort of like ban someone. And banning someone, you're kind of like excluding someone from something, right? And Danny's a very inclusive person, so they have to like meet a certain threshold for Danny in order for him to exclude them, and he wants to investigate as to whether or not that person meets that threshold in which banning is warranted. And so that's sort of like his mindset. And I know I'm speaking on your behalf, but I know
I'm nodding because I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah. And then another thing, there's something weird about how Isaac expects that he can go into my server or my channel and demand things about my channel. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Isaac understands socially how bizarre that is, that he has the right to go into my own channel and make demands and give ultimatums. And he's done this before to other people you guys might know. I guess I'll just fucking say it, whatever. He's done it to Jasmine from a Vegan Gains, who is moderating his chat, and he asked for somebody to be banned. They said, we don't run our chat like that. Fair enough, right? It's their chat. And then he banned her on all platforms. Like, he did the same thing to me that he did to her. Okay, it's a weird thing, Isaac, socially. I'm just trying to make this clear to you. And I'm not trying to, when I say this, what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to make an appeal to popularity, but when there's something that's like more of a social matter, and like 99% of people are not on your side, it might be that you lack something in you that would cause you to have these social these beliefs that most people have that completely disagree with what you're how you feel. And again, that includes the really intelligent and philosophically minded, logically minded people that are in your server. So I just want to see if I can get you to reflect on some of these things, that because it is weird that you would even think to come into my channel and just command things. Mm-hmm. I would never do that. It's not my right to do that. It's your, if I'm thinking about your chat, it's like, to me, it's just as simple as it is your chat. I would never tell you what to do with your chat. And that's end of discussion. Like that's it. So it is a little odd that you have this weird thing where you think you have the right to do this. I'm not a psychologist or something, but I've seen some people call it narcissism. I have no clue what it is, but it's something that I think you're lacking, or it's just a difference in values where you genuinely just think that you can do that. And I came across these screenshots, which are a bit controversial. So I'll give a little like disclaimer, and I'll put them on the screen right now. If you want to read them, just pause the video. But they're basically screenshots displaying Isaac's moral attitude toward sophists. And had I known, well, assuming these are true, which they don't seem to be taken out of context, they seem very legitimate. Had I known that he held these views, I would have even more so understood why he was so upset with Lewis. I mean, just to summarize what the screenshot said, if in case you didn't read it, but he believes that in principle, assuming you can take away all the practical issues that would be associated with doing this, he would think it's fine to painlessly execute sophists. Okay, so this is somebody who believes that sophistry is something that causes one to deserve the death penalty, which, it's kind of interesting because, like, from his perspective, I'm giving someone moderator powers who deserves the death penalty in principle, right? We'll be clear about that. So that also helped me understand, I guess, where he's coming from. Personally, I don't hold those values. I think in my view, it's quite insane, but it helped me understand where he's coming from. And yeah, I don't hold those values. I don't know what he'll say about that, but what do you think, Ruxter?
Yeah. I mean, I sure as hell don't hold those values. I don't think the crime of being a sophist warrants like some like painless death. I mean, I don't really know what the like when you put painless in front of execution, I don't know. I mean, it makes it sound a little bit nicer, but still, like, ending their lives because of like their sort of like them just being sophists. I don't know. It just seems a bit extreme in my view, especially when, like, you know, if you hold views of like determinism and you don't believe in free will and things like that, like, it's not like these people choose to be sophists. You know what I mean? Like, in the strict sense. Sometimes people just grow up in environments, or they just grow up in situations where, like, they're not able to acknowledge that they're engaging fallaciously, and they truly believe that what they're saying doesn't have like sophistic roots or something. But I assume you do away with those sort of pragmatics when you mentioned that they had a perfect AI that was able to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
But even if that's the case, I still don't think that warrants like death. Like, to put that, like, I'm not saying you do this, but like, some people might view it as like putting it on the same level as, like, you know, like sexual predators, or like, you know, like murderers and things like that. Like, would we, because, you know, for some of us, we believe that they all deserve the death penalty. Do we think it's reasonable to say that we should put them all in that same category as deserving of death? It just seems weird to put like sophists in that same category. It just seems like one of these things is not like the other, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Pretty
clearly, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think sophists should be in that category where they deserve deaths.
And like, you and I both agree that sophistry is bad. Like, it's a bad thing to do. Just like stealing in most scenarios is a bad thing to do. But I don't think that someone who's a thief or a sophist deserves to be painlessly executed in principle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think maybe like socially, I don't know about ostracizing, but just like kind of like making fun of them socially, embarrassing them socially might be more appropriate. So
yeah,
they can
I could understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they can stop like their sophistic behaviors or something like that.
Right. I forgot to mention this concerning Avi, but I saw a lot of people saying like, "Oh, we need Avi to," or some people said this to me. I wonder what Avi thinks. Maybe Avi's the one person who can convince him. Now, I'm not sure. I thought that was true as well, but then I also came across, I was told at least, that Isaac actually did to Avi a couple months ago what he did to me over a disagreement. So this goes as far as Avi as well. Like, if Isaac thinks that you have a fundamentally different set of principles or whatever, he might do it to you even if you're Avi. Now, I believe they've made up since, so I don't know how that happened. But yeah, so I just wanted to make that clear too, that even like I've been a victim of it, Jasmine, Avi, like I wasn't the first one to deal with this kind of shit. Some of you guys might be wondering, like, why are you even making this video, bro? Maybe you're not, but I wanted to just like kind of make this stuff clear, almost to help Isaac reflect on some stuff, and for people who are in the Discord and the Study Archives Discord to be aware of this and to not speak your mind on certain things, because you don't want to risk getting banned from such a valuable resource such as the Study Archives Discord or the AY Discord. You know, I've said this before. I used Avi's Discord for plenty of my videos concerning empirical matters. It's been super useful. And even if you're not someone like me who's a YouTuber, it's still a very useful resource. There's a lot of really intelligent people in there. There's like doctors, there's philosophy PhDs, there's people with masters, there's people that have none of those degrees, but they're still nonetheless extremely intelligent. And, you know, for me at least, assuming Isaac doesn't change his values or behavior after seeing this video, I don't feel comfortable ever being friends with somebody like Isaac, given his standard of friendship. I think he's a valuable resource though, and I would view him like that, like a teacher or something. Like, imagine I had a teacher who was really good at teaching XYZ, but socially they're a little weird, they hold you to weird standards. I would say, you know what, I'm going to just kind of be on the outside of friendship with them, but I'll take what I can from them. And that's how I view Isaac at this point. The only way in which I'd be able to be friends with him again is if he changed his values or had some realizations after watching this. But if not, I mean, just to be frank, fuck that. Like, they're just weird. It's just weird values. Concerning Avi again, I asked him to see if I can get back into the Discord, and he told me they share like a policy, a shared ban policy, and the only person who can unban the person is the person who banned them in the first place. And I don't know, like, Avi, if you're listening, given everything that we've gone over here and what happened in the conversation between Isaac and I and Ruxter in the stream. I get that it's policy and you have like a legal thing around this, but like, I don't know, Avi, I feel like knowing you ethically, I feel like you'd have an issue leaving this kind of authority up to somebody like Isaac, who has done all the things that we've just gone over and has these particular values. I like to think that, at least. And it's a little odd, just in my view, given Isaac's history. And I know he's gone on banning sprees before. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else I want to say that I have not mentioned.
I think I'll just like add one more thing while you search.
Sure.
I mean, like, it's something you've already said, but you have to really think, Isaac. If what Danny's saying is true, and there's a bunch of people who actually, a bunch of your close friends or friends you deem as like really intelligent or like a really reliable source for knowledge or whatever domains that you're interested in, like, if you have those sort of people who don't share those fundamental values, right, and there's a lot of them, then you're going to have to, like, if you want to be consistent with this sort of like application of friendship or however you want to call it, then there's a lot of them that you're going to have to cut out because of this thing, if you want to be consistent. And I think that because you probably don't want to do something like that, that you might want to like maybe adopt a different set of values, or maybe like keep like some values and then maybe introduce like new ones, so that you can have like this sort of like reasonable set of standard that you can apply, and you can just maintain the friends that you want to maintain. Because with this set of standards or the set of values you have right now, it doesn't look like you're going to have, it looks like you're going to be, how should I say this? It looks like you're going to have to like eliminate a lot of people from your life if you continue to have this sort of standard. Now, they probably don't want to straight up and tell you that they don't share these same values for fear of like, banning or no longer being friends. But just know, like, if you take Danny's word at it, and based on because he was trying to ask around about this sort of thing, like, there's a lot of there's more than you probably think that disagree with these like set of values that you have, and there's going to be more people than you might believe that you have to cut out of your life. And I don't think you want to do that. It seems like you like having friends and you want to keep having friends, and I think if that's the case, you should probably adopt a different set of values. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, bro, if you want to keep having friends, like, and you have a set of values that, if you're going to be consistent with how you treated me, are such that you also should dismiss them and unfriend them and ban them from your server. If that's the case, like, it's just scary, bro.
Yeah.
Especially for you. It's like, I'm assuming that Isaac viewed what I did as disrespectful or whatever, and not adhering to those standards of friendship. And it's just like, does respect really mean, let me come into your channel and demand for you to ban 2 supporters of yours for reasons that you currently cannot inspect, and if you don't, like, never associate with me again? Like, is that a respectful thing to do? That is what you did. Like, let's be honest. I'm not strawmanning this. I'm not like misrepresenting what happened. And also, last thing, because again, things are just coming in my head as I think right now. There are many people who wouldn't have even entertained what you were doing in the chat. Like, the stream had a clear purpose, and it was to review the debate. The fact that I even like let you in to give your case and all that, like, there's a lot of fucking people that would not have even have done that. And I also, something one of my other friends mentioned was like how I didn't even like blow up on him in the midst of all that unreasonable behavior, or like clap back and start fucking cursing at him and like insulting him. I was just like, okay, dude, and I mean, granted, we were both in shock, you and I, because it was just so unfucking believable what happened. But still, like, I easily could have been a dick right back to you, but instead I was just kind of like chill and like, like, bro, no, I'm not going to do that.
We even said we still love you, dude. Like,
yeah. And I, bro, in regards to this other stuff, I still do. And I think you're funny in certain ways. Like, your personality is unique in ways. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. Like, you genuinely, like, him and I have talked one-on-one before in Discord calls for like 3 hours, and like, we have good talks. It's great. But I feel like that's all I really have to say about this. Isaac, if this video swayed you in any way, just send me an email back. I emailed you didn't respond, and it was a very nice email. And if not, then I mean, fuck it, dude. I hope that this video reaches everyone, especially in the Discord, because over the course of the 3-4 years I've been in there, I've defended him over a lot of things that I deep down didn't really believe in, and that was out of just being like a good friend. And I definitely regret doing those things. I'll definitely speak my mind a little more. Maybe that's another reason why I'm doing this video, because I feel like there's also things about him that I've thought and repressed, because I'm like, oh, it's Isaac, bro, like it's fine, you know, he's super smart and whatever, like, you know, I'm just gonna let it slide. But
yeah,
obviously now I'm not.
Yeah, I also want to say that, like, look, if there's anything that we may have misrepresented, or there's like any error that we commit, you know, obviously we don't want to like say something that's not true, and we're willing to retract any claims or anything,
of course,
anything to that degree. So just, you know, if there's anything that's not true or being misrepresented, please say something. We're just pretty much giving our take based on the information that we gathered, but there could be pieces of information that we don't have that actually might, you know, turn the dial on this thing, sort of say.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be you, Isaac. It could be anyone who's a follower of you, or like knows anything pertaining to these state of affairs. Like they have anything they want, like come forth with, then, you know, we welcome that, because we like to consider ourselves like intellectuals, and if there's something that goes against the view or the claims that are being made, like the proclamations are being made, then we would want to, like, obviously you would want to reformulate the position or what we say, or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm very open to that. I mean, Isaac's a smart ass dude. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but but I don't think I'm like primarily missing something. I think I'm right in the main point in this. There could be something I misrepresented or something. I don't know. But yeah, something tells me that like he might not even watch this, which is like insane to me. But last thing, this is a little bit of a petty point, and then we could finish this bullshit. Someone sent me a screenshot of like after we were both banned from the from the Discord, and it said like, you know, ban Lifting Vegan Logic, ban Ruxter, like from Isaac, and then it says, and then the next thing, like the command goes in, and then it says like, we've been banned from the server. And then somebody like innocently asked, and I'll put this screenshot up, someone just innocently was like, hey, like, can I just ask you why you banned them? Like, if you don't mind or whatever, like, or like if you're okay with that. And Isaac doesn't even respond. He just bans the person who asked that question. It's just like, Isaac, like, come on, bro. Like, that is not stable. That is not you thinking logically. That is like, in my opinion, it's like emotionally charged behavior. You can't tell me you were thinking straight. Like the dude even said, if you don't mind me asking, like you could have said, oh, I do mind you asking. Like, I'm not going to answer that. And then boom, boom, like he's done. He won't ask it or whatever. He won't follow up. But instead you just ban him. It's like, you know what I mean? And I've gotten, by the way, I've gotten many messages over the last 2 years since I started YouTube saying like, oh, like I was banned from the server for XYZ. And I always used to say like, oh yeah, that's just Isaac's rules, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't agree with it, but you know, so I don't know, bro. Like when almost everybody is disagreeing with you on a social matter and almost like an ethical matter, because this is in the domain of ethics, just, you might want to reflect. And I know, Isaac, you've changed your mind on a lot of things in the years you've been on YouTube. I know you have capacity to do that. So, you know, I mean, Isaac's told me before that he thinks I'm a smart guy. I even said once, like, I think you're smarter than me. And he's like, that's not clear. I don't know if that's true. So, you know, just take what I said fucking seriously. I've thought about it a lot over the last week, and Ruxter here is also very smart. I think maybe even smarter than me in a lot of ways. So both of our combined
wait, that's not clear. You don't know that.
Okay. There you go. You're setting me up for the future when you ban me and then I have to say it.
No.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you made it this far, I mean, lol, you must really like drama. But I want to know what everyone else thinks. Give me your takes, especially after I've reframed things and told you about how I was seeing things in the moment, especially in terms of literally just seeing Isaac call someone a retard over and over. and then get accused of bullying, and then get told to ban the person who accused him of bullying when I clearly saw him as bullying. Like all that stuff. Like, what do you think, even now that you've heard my own perspective on this? But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think this is just a personal question for me. I was like, if you can tell me like why I was banned and blocked,
that's it.
I'm a little confused because in that interaction, I didn't really say anything. All I asked, I believe the one thing I asked was, hey, I was like, hey, aren't you a mod, Isaac? Can't you ban these people? You know, and I also have an extreme disdain towards sophists, so I'm somewhat sympathetic to your views, not to the point where I would like kill them painlessly. I mean, I don't know if that's your view, but that's what was gathered. So I kind of understand where you're coming from, but if you can explain to me why I was banned, that would be great, because I'm so confused. But yeah.
I was laughing so much about that, honestly, like after the stream, because like you're so like innocent, and like I know you outside of that stream too. You're just very nice dude. You were even finding like a middle ground between our positions, and you just got fucking banned. Like, you know? So yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. AY, please think about everything that's been said here. See you guys later.
Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who is your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid